Upon his return to Maelstrom, King Hecaton is quick to act against the evil that threatens all giants. With the help of his scrying pool, he has figured out where Iymrith has gone to ground. Seated upon the Wormskull throne, Hecaton summons the adventurers and asks them to join him as he takes the fight to Iymrith by storming the dragon's lair in the desert of Anauroch. After imparting the information Hecaton learned about their foe to the party, he gives each of the characters a potion of giant size from the royal treasury, enabling them to face the dragon as true giants when the time comes. These potions are extremely powerful, but give your party a fighting chance against an ancient blue dragon. Hecaton also gives the party a Claw of the Worm Rune, which is a useful tool against any dragon. Finally, Hecaton brings 4 storm giants along with himself to stage the assault. For parties that decided to visit the other giant lairs and are currently level 12 instead of level 10, consider not including the storm giant allies, or perhaps having them be set pieces more than active participants in the battle at the lair. Maybe 2 of them stay behind and watch over the rocks, while the other 2 accompany Hecaton in battle. In either case, don't give the players control over these giants like the book suggests. These beings are too powerful for the players to have agency over their actions. Ensure Orlecto is one of the giants who accompanies Hecaton in case you need him to change the tide of the combat. If your party is curious why Hecaton does not storm the dragon's lair with every giant he has available, he can protest that a direct assault of that magnitude would leave Maelstrom and the Wormskull throne undefended. It is best if the dragon does not know that they are approaching until they arrive, and her spies are all over the trackless sea. Hecaton also points out how Iymrith is immune to the Storm Giants' lightning damage, their most powerful attack. When the players are ready, the Storm Giants set off to Iymrith's lair. As the party approaches the desert amphitheater, a massive storm is brewing overhead. The storm conceals the lair until they reach the area within 1,000 feet of the structure. Your party can allow the Storm Giants to make a frontal assault while they attempt to sneak into the fray undetected, or they can charge with their Storm Giant friends. I've had the party approach from the top and the bottom of the battle map, and both had similar results, so I don't think it makes much of a difference. Have everyone roll initiative when they charge. The first stage of the combat is essentially deciding on dashing or dodging each round as the party attempts to avoid the onslaught from the trebuchets. Once within 500 feet, the Storm Giants stop dashing and begin hurling lightning at the gargoyles operating the trebuchets. Allow the teams of gargoyles to fire each trebuchet once per round rather than every other round unless one of them are slain in the process. There are plenty of targets to pick from. Once the party reaches the amphitheater proper, the other statues begin animating and swooping down to hinder the party. Once the battle is in full swing, you have some options. If Mirren or Nim escaped from Maelstrom earlier in the adventure, having one or both make an appearance during this battle can be a great callback to raise the stakes. If you take a look at the Storm Giant Quintessent stat block from Bolo's Guide to Monsters, they have a legendary action called One with the Storm, which allows the giant to become part of a storm and essentially become untargetable. Perhaps Iymrith has shared her arcane secrets with one of the sisters and allowed her to unlock the abilities of a Quintessent. Have Mirren or Nim appear as a face in the clouds, threatening the party and attempting to force them to back down. Hecaton would refuse to yield and attempt to sway his daughter to no avail, causing her to emerge from the storm and enter the fray. When Mirren or Nim are on the battlefield, Orlecto seizes the opportunity and attacks Hecaton or another storm giant. This turn of events should cause the party to falter for a moment and allow them to be backed into a corner by this intimidating and unyielding Quintessent and an army of gargoyles. On the next round, the party's savior arrives to provide aid. Suddenly, you hear a great battle cry from behind you. You turn and you see the shadow of a giant, obscured by the light of the setting sun. You squint your eyes and see a creature with pale skin, covered with the scars of many battles. He is clad in plate armor and wears the skull of a white dragon. He has an eye patch over one eye and wields a weapon you've never seen before, a greatsword of extraordinary proportions. This jagged blade has a massive skull embedded in the hilt. The giant is undoubtedly the legendary Harshnag the Grim, although he looks different since you last saw him. He charges forward, a scream emerging from his maw, greatsword in hand. Harshnag the Grim has returned, wielding Gert's great sword. He lost his eye and his legendary axe in the Eye of the Allfather, but has forged a new weapon and mended his wounds. Since he was nursed back to health, he has been on the trail of the adventurers, hoping to once again join their quest, and has finally reached the end of the road. Harshnag focuses all of his efforts on Mirren or Nim while the party backs him up and keeps the gargoyles off of him. Hecaton and the other guards quickly dispatch Orlecto. Once Orlecto is dead, or if she starts to get too low, Mirren or Nim become one with the storm once again and then begin to cry, which causes it to rain. At this point, half of the gargoyles should be dead at least, but ensure there are a few still around. If no one has done so already, Harshnag goes to the center of the amphitheater and challenges Iymrith. Is this all the great doom of the desert can muster? Why does the dragon of statues not greet us herself? The party feels a rumbling beneath their feet, and Iymrith bursts from the ground in a rage. She sticks to the skies and bathes Harshnag and the party in lightning. If it seems like an opportune moment, she also uses her frightful presence. But keep in mind, if anyone saves now, they will be immune to it later, and it might be best used underground in melee range, but if the party has bad wisdom saves and doesn't have a bard or paladin, it might be wiser to use it as soon as possible to get the most mileage out of it above and below ground. Iymrith can fly by and use her tail and bite attack to stay out of reach while her dragon breath recharges. Her claw does have 10-foot reach, but so do giants and the players if they drink the potions of giant size, so she can still be opportunity attacked unless she only uses her tail or bite. Don't forget to use her lair actions and her legendary actions. She can mostly strife the battlefield and use her tail attack legendary action as she does so. If you wish, you can add a legendary or lair action where she can cast Stone Shape to create a gargoyle. This can be helpful to split the focus on her, which is the most important thing about this fight. Iymrith needs some fodder around her at all times, or she will be focused too quickly. She should also aim to avoid melee combat as much as possible. Dragons fight like cats and won't charge blindly into a group of giants and giant-sized adventurers, so make sure she keeps her wits about her. If you want to be extra evil, you can have her use her bite attack to grapple someone and then drop them from a fatal height. Once she reaches 240 HP, or if all the gargoyles are defeated, she retreats back underground for the final confrontation. If the party decides to short rest before journeying into the lair, make sure Iymrith licks her wounds as well and is fresh for the coming fight. Hekaton and Harshnag accompany the party into the lair, while any remaining storm giants move the rocks up to this area and stand watch. Ideally, the party goes through the large hole in the center of the amphitheater, the same one that Iymrith used to enter and exit the fight. If you wish, other entrances can lead to collapsed tunnels or cave-ins, but regardless, the party will likely take this path eventually. During this portion of the fight, be sure to use Iymrith's lair actions to cover her escape and create mayhem for the party. If Iymrith becomes cornered, have her burrow into a new passageway and emerge into another part of the lair. She should be extremely difficult to pin down and constantly on the move with her wing attack and burrow speed. Any collapsing sections should be easy enough to clear and break through as not to slow down the play, but they usually cause the combat to end as it takes a moment to clear the path. Use this opportunity to reposition Iymrith and the foes in the next chamber. When the characters enter the entrance chamber, they see soft light coming from the north and hear a strange abyssal chanting. If they investigate, allow them to witness the ritual described in the book. If anyone can understand abyssal, they can translate the message quietly to the rest of the party. Once the sacrifice is concluded, the characters hear the voice of Iymrith echoing off the walls. Well, what did it say? The Auntie nervously say that she must face her foes head-on to succeed, lest they face the wrath of the dragon. At this point, one of the Aunties notice the party, and then Iymrith commands them to attack. Have everyone roll initiative. Iymrith is hiding under one of the piles of sand in the room, and only a character with passive perception 17 or higher notices her, or if they investigate that corner themselves. She lies in wait and attacks at an opportune moment if undiscovered, while the Auntie battle the party. She quickly flees into the chamber with her horde, either collapsing the passage behind her or using her lair action to make a cloud of sand. This cloud does not obscure vision, but I would have it persist for one round to break line of sight on Iymrith, which allows her to hide once again under another pile of sand. Ideally, she flees before all the Auntie are defeated, so she isn't pursued immediately. Once Iymrith leaves the room, one round later the Auntie flee or surrender, and can impart some information from the book to your party if you wish. When the party enters the trove chamber, they will see an extraordinary pile of gold. Hopefully your party is greedy and investigates it, which causes the air elementals to become disturbed. Iymrith lies in wait nearby, and the party may even incorrectly suspect that she is in the horde itself. If she is noticed, she utters a phrase in Aran, causing the air elementals to animate and attack regardless. If she is focused, she quickly flees down the tunnel behind her and collapses it onto a member of the party if possible. At this point, Iymrith should be feeling the heat, and is likely on her last 150 hit points or so. In the Purple Worm Nursery, she plans to make her last stand against the party, and she still believes that she can defeat them. Once again, she hides, hoping to trick the party. When the characters enter, they see the ominous pit before them full of dark, wiggling vines, which they quickly realize are massive worms. Even in their infant state, purple worms are massive compared to the average humanoid. While the party stares into the vile pit, Iymrith attempts to surprise someone with her tail attack and knock them inside. When combat begins in this chamber, 1d4 purple wormlings crawl out of the pit to defend their mother. Every round on initiative count 20, have another 1d4 worms crawl out of the pit and join the fray. As Iymrith is on her last leg, she employs the final trick up her sleeve. She burrows through the ceiling to the surface of the amphitheater and lets out a wheezy and strained roar, causing 4 dust devils to appear around her and attack. Dust Devils are mentioned in the Monster Manual in the Blue Dragon Lair section, where they are essentially air elementals. When Iymrith is finally slain, the Dust Devils dissipate, and she lets out a vile roar as her body slumps and falls over, crashing onto the steps of the amphitheater, causing them to crack and dust to fly into the air. The party has defeated the doom of the desert. If they survived the battle, Hekaton and Harshnag let out mighty battle cries and rejoice of their smitten foe. Their cries of victory are cut short when one of the storm giants lands their rock nearby and says that 2 blue dragons and a horde of gargoyles are heading towards the lair. The party has enough time to gather as much as they can from the trove and claim any of the spoils from Iymrith's body before fleeing with the injured giants on the rocks. Harshnag can use Orlecto's rock, as he shouldn't be needing it anymore. If the party sticks around to witness or challenge the 2 dragons, they see Iymrith's adult children, and Axter and Chezaran arrive at the lair and discover her body. If the characters challenge them, they fight to the bitter end, but the characters will likely be spent from the battle and won't be looking for a fight. If the characters don't intervene, and Axter and Chezaran attack each other, rolling around on the amphitheater, destroying it, collapsing the tunnels beneath their feet, and ultimately entombing themselves within the earth. If you wish to have any post-campaign adventures, then instead Anna Axter wins the battle outright with her gargoyles and claims the title Doom of the Desert. With Iymrith defeated, Hekaton can once again sit on the Wormskull throne and rule the trackless sea unopposed. Or can he? The ending is really up to the DM and how much you want to resolve. Does Slark Rathrel simply retreat to the depths of his lair to wait for another opportunity, or does he decide to take matters into his own hands? Does Onum the Allfather restore the Ordning, or does he wait for Hekaton to establish relations with small folk and defeat the Kraken that plagues his waters? One thing is certain. The characters are welcome to join Hekaton in his future quests, and with their help, he can certainly establish a new giant order with the small folk of the realms. Perhaps Harshnag, Zephyros, and other friends of the characters met along the way become a part of this new council of giants and small folk. The choices for the characters really are endless, and the opportunity to have more adventures in this world is certainly on the table. Perhaps the Kraken doesn't emerge until years have passed, and the characters are called upon once again to help the Storm Giant King restore order to the trackless sea. Well, that is Storm King's Thunder. I hope you enjoyed the series. Do not fret, this is not the end of my SKT videos, as I look forward to making more freeform content about the campaign, as well as moving on to other topics and adventures. Stick around to see what I have next. Good luck in your quests, and as always, thanks for watching.